Okay, so Tom Peeler showed me this really cool website known as Backloggd. This is not a sponsored video. I'm not affiliated with Backloggd, and neither is Tom, at least I don't believe. This is just something that he shared with me, as well as other people on his public Cast of the Past Discord server, which if you haven't seen Cast of the Past yet, you should definitely check them out, as well as their Discord server. It's basically become an addiction of mine for the last several days. Basically, it's a catalog or archive of pretty much every game that has ever existed. Obviously, not every game, but so many, right? If we just scroll through right now, these are just some of the like popularly reviewed ones. Obviously, you got things like Hades, which is very popular right now, Among Us, Breath of the Wild, you know, a bunch of games that a lot of people played. But as you can see, they've got 1,575 different pages full of games, and that's, I don't even know how many there are here. Six. It looks like 6 times 6, right? 36 games per page for 1,575 pages. I don't know how many games that is. If I can bother to do the calculations, there you go. It's right there. But basically, it's a lot of games. So basically, what you could do with this website is if you hover over a game, you can choose whether or not you played it or backlogged, and they've got a couple other options here as well, including putting it on your wish list or like you're currently playing, right? So it's kind of a cool way to keep track of what games you own and what games you've already played and what games you still need to play, and also just games that you're currently playing, right? So it's kind of a cool organization method of handling your games or whatnot. If I go over to my profile real quick, I've logged 302 games on here that I've played. I'm not super like focused on choosing which ones are backlogged or which ones I've completed, which ones I've barely played, but you can do all that stuff. For me, for default, I just put it all as like completed, I think, because that's just what the default is. Yeah, see all these other people completed. There's no way all these people completed Breath of the Wild. I'm just saying that game is not an easily completable game. That's just the default, and a lot of people just don't really care so much about that part. Like I don't, so I just leave it uncompleted, right? But it's kind of neat because you can do that. You can add it to your backlog. I've obviously played Breath of the Wild a ton, so I don't need to add it to my backlog. But I do have a couple of games in my backlog. And this is kind of helpful because it shows me a big list of games that it's like, boy, I tried these, but I didn't really give these all a fair shot. You're going to see a couple in here where you're like, dang, you haven't given that a fair shot? Like Banjo-Tooie, for an example, right? I have the cartridge for that, and I still just haven't given it a shot yet, you know? So it's a nice reminder for me to like look at some of these games and be like, oh, okay, these are some games I really need to revisit. Some of these I don't. This game, Rampage Total Destruction, I played this a lot. In fact, I don't know why that's not marked as played. I did play it. I played it a lot at a friend's house when I was really young. Really liked it then. I don't imagine it's anywhere near as good as I remember it, and I do not plan on replaying it or buying it or anything of the sort anytime soon. But it's still kind of nice to see a different stuff that you played, even if you don't feel you have the appropriate experience to give a review on it. And that kind of introduces the second part of the website that's actually the coolest part for me personally, because like I said, I'm addicted to this. This is practically made for me. But you can leave reviews for these games, just small reviews, and also 5-star ratings, essentially, right? So these are all games that I have not left a star rating for because I've not played them enough. But if I go over to played, see tons of games here. This just shows the order of games that I did recently. I recently reviewed WarioWare Inc. Mega Party Games. I gave that one a 5-star because I had an absolute blast playing that growing up. The not just are the mini games cool, but there's also cool ways to introduce the mini games into neat competitive multiplayer games. And I had an absolute blast with it. Some people, however, give this game a little bit less reviews, which is totally fair. Literally just the GBA minigames rehashed, ported, and stretched over a bigger screen for GameCube with a few multiplayer modes thrown in. Fun for a little bit, but also incredibly ugly thanks to the GBA rescaling. All of these points, entirely valid, and it makes sense to give it a 3-star rating because of that, right? But here's what I love about the site. When you're talking about reviews based off of numeric values, such as X out of 10 or X out of this many stars, you know, there's usually two camps kind of form after you start to think of it for a while. One camp is basically saying that we need numeric values because it's a quick, accessible way to give thoughts and opinions on an individual game, while the other camp is more numeric values kind of hurt the reviewing industry because it takes attention away from what's actually being said in reviews, thus getting some misconceptions as to what numeric values actually mean. Both camps got some fair points, right? What I like about this site is that it's kind of a middle ground between them because you do have the 5-star system, although it's technically like more 1 out of 10 because you can give half ratings, which I have given a lot. And this is a bad example because this isn't a game I've actually reviewed. All right, let's talk about this one, Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventures for the GameCube. This came out in 2004, right? And it's just kind of neat to have a review site for games that came out this long ago. And it even goes back, obviously, way past 2004, all the way to the 90s and 80s. And it's just kind of cool to have a website that uniforms all of that. You've seen other services have user reviews, such as the Steam stores, but there's some kind of cool things about this that I'll get into for a little bit. But first, I want to explain kind of my rating review, right? Here's a really simple review and rating that I gave, 3.5 stars. Great idea that only 1% can experience. Single player is still okay, but lacking. That's like just one of my faster reviews. Honestly, I go a little bit more in depth usually, but this is a cool example of what you could do. I'm not breaking down the visuals, the gameplay, the sound design. I'm just giving simple responses that I had when I played the game. And I love having a platform where people can just do that, right? Because this isn't really made for in-depth reviews. This is for like smaller comments on a game of just what people responded to. Let's check out the person below. I respect the ambition and weirdness of the game. It's a really good single-player experience, to be honest. I love that one level that's just a lengthy fetch quest in a town. Kind of a nostalgic classic. I have no interest in replaying it, though, and I'm glad I did. See, those are all valid points that just come from specific responses that somebody had. And sometimes it's not always about just breaking down every individual aspect of a review. Sometimes we just get down into that emotional level and find where our responses lie. And that's what I love about this site, is that you will find every review is pretty much that, right? I mean, you get some occasional lengthy breakdowns, especially for some of the more modern games, but when someone goes back to a random game like Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventures to leave a review on it, some game they probably played as a kid, they're going back over there because they want to share what impacted them most in the review. They're not trying to stop anyone in 2021 from getting Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventures, right? There's not a ton of people getting Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventures in 2021, believe it or not. And that's where this website kind of differs from Steam reviews a lot. I actually really do like Steam reviews. I think it's a pretty solid system for the most part. But one of the problems you get is that if someone gets salty with the game or developers change the way they normally like to play through updates or something like that, Steam users almost feel a responsibility to then voice those concerns to more people who might be getting the game later. So it's all based around whether or not the Steam user should get a Steam game. While I think this kind of format works better for these kind of games, I guess. I don't really want to say that there's no use for that more consumer-led ideology of making sure the consumer gets good things in their Steam reviews, and I think that's why I like Steam reviews a decent amount. But a lot of times, Steam reviews will be from users who've played the games for like thousands of hours, but then will leave a negative review saying like, yeah, they changed one thing in the game and now it sucks. When they fix this, I'll change it right back up. And I mean, I guess fair enough, but I could just kind of like this format of was my full experience of it. This encapsulates my entire time playing it, and that's what the overarching review is. If I had fun for 900 hours, even if the devs changed something that made those last 100 hours really boring or a slog, and there's no pressure to make sure no one buys this game on this website. That's not what this website's for, and that's why I really like it. Again, fine with Steam reviews. I'm just kind of gushing about this because I absolutely love this site. If I didn't make this clear, this is not sponsored. I just genuinely like this site. But you can make accounts on here and basically follow people who you like to read the reviews for. For example, the only friend I have right now is Tom Peeler. I think I'm actually at least following one other person who's been leaving good stuff. Tom Peeler, I obviously not just followed him because he's a good person and my friend, but also he leaves some of the dankest, funniest reviews that I've seen. And it's just great that there could be a place for this. Let's see if I could find one in particular. Let's say Bowser's Fury, okay? I bet you it's going to be something short and sweet. I haven't read this yet. Oh, never mind. He actually left a pretty in-depth one. Okay, if this is the future of Mario, I need either a time machine or a coma to get me there now. Being locked into Fury mode, attack mode, my collecting, blah, blah, blah. Okay. That's a good review. That is a good review. It was just not the example I was looking for. Either way, you should follow Tom because he has this kind of stuff and, of course, the goofier ones. Here's one for Banjo-Kazooie. Every night, Super Mario 64 wakes up in a cold sweat realizing it will never be Banjo-Kazooie. Just fun stuff like that, So it still has kind of that humor that you find in a lot of Steam reviews, but on this website. But also there's the big thing where Steam reviews just for Steam games. This is for freaking everything. And that creates a nice form of unity that actually aids the 5-star system well, and here's why. A big reason people don't like numeric values for review scores is because you don't know who the reviewers number 10 is and what their number 1 is, right? Everyone's spectrums are a little bit different. But when you have all the games on the same website for all these users to give numeric values to, it becomes easier to then judge what's between a 5-star and what's between a 4-star, and it gives you a better idea. But it's obviously still not the end-all conversation. If I see something have a 3.5 stars, I won't fully know why they feel that way until I go check out their little short review that will explain it in like 2 sentences usually. And it's just really neat. So basically the review system on this website is really cool, and that's particularly why I enjoy it so much. However, even the archival state is also pretty neat, but one of the concerns you might be having is, Pat, how am I expected to remember every single game that I've played before and search it up on here and mark to play? That seems very inefficient, boring, and I'm going to stop soon, right? I get you. I felt the same thing when I was thinking about it, right? Before I was absolutely and utterly addicted to a crumbling extent on this website. But the thing is this website has a very useful feature, which is just this games button. And what it shows is the most popular played/reviewed. I'm not entirely sure how that works. I think just played games, right? Among Us is not going to have a 5-star rating, but a lot of people have given it ratings before. I give it a 4-star. I actually quite like Among Us, but it seems that the average rating is a little bit lower than that. But this is such a great way to just find games that you may not have remembered or kind of forgot about, so you don't have to bother typing things in. You can just scroll through here page by page, right? I've played Minecraft, I'll leave a quick review, go back. I've played Doom, I'll leave a quick review of that, go back. I've played Mario Sunshine, leave a quick review, go back. And then you just click next page, right? And I kid you not, I stayed up awake at night on my phone just doing this over and over again as I found different games. Because there's so many games in here that if you just try to remember every game you played and type it in the search bar, yeah, you're going to have a rough time. But just by going through this list of like popularly played games, you're going to be finding so many that you've played before and leaving quick reviews. Super Mario World, you might not have even thought about that game since your childhood and thought, you know what, I want to leave a 5-star review on this because this game made my childhood. Or maybe leave a 1-star review because like, I can't get out of the Forest Illusion. That's a true story. I can't get out of the Forest Illusion. I think I still gave this a 5 stars, though. It was such a great game. And like Stardew Valley, Earthbound, a lot of games that you're just like, remember, like, you know what? I had such a great time. I want to share it here, right? And you just do that going through the pages. I did this and got to like 30 pages in one day, and I had to stop because I had work to do. I can't just do this all day. But now I think I've been on like page 90. It shuffles a lot because, different people leaving reviews changes the order quite a bit. But something that might be fun is just like, let's say, go to page 6, and then what you can even do is go up here, adjust the URL, and just throw it real quick to page. Let's just throw it to page 30 real quick, right? And see what's on the list there. See, now we have like a whole different stuff to pull from. So if you're just tired of talking about games that a lot of people have already talked about, you can find some more unique ones here. Like, chances are, if you've played a lot of games growing up, there's at least one game on this page or the next that you've played and played enough to leave a review for, right? I'm now getting to the point where I think I've been on like page 100 or something like that, which again, rough order changes a lot, but I'm starting to run out of like finding games that I played, so I'm searching more and more stuff to put it in. I don't know if I'll ever have every game that I played. In fact, it's not likely. These are some of the latest. WarioWare, Orcs Must Die, GoldenEye 007, even Shrek the Third. I have played it. Gave it a 1 star. That seems fair. And even things like Miitomo, 1.5 stars. Also fair. That one app that disappeared because it had no infrastructure and no room to expand. And these are all simple things that when I just tell you that gives you just a general idea as to the reason I gave the rating for this game. That's exactly what I could put in my review. Just a small little review, and it works great. Absolutely great. And so I don't know. I don't really know why I made this video or why I felt an urge to make this video so badly, but this is just such a cool site that I felt like I wanted to talk about and explain exactly why I like it. But here's some applications. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to leave a link to my profile in the description if you'd like to add me as a friend on here. I will add you back and be checking out your reviews because I can't get enough of this. It's more food for thought, It's great. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't usually use a webcam and like this style of videos, I guess, so I'm just messing with it, I suppose. But one thing it's also neat is like you could set your like top 5 favorite games. So these are my top 5 favorite games, and I have more lengthy reviews for all of these for sure. But you can also do things like make lists, and this kind of leads to the next part of the video that I'm doing. I am currently working on a Patnet's top 100 games list in the form of this website. Now, making a top like games of all time has always kind of been like a pipe dream of mine, to make like a video essay format of that. It's simply not going to happen. I've left the video essay format a long time ago. But this is going to be a fun way to be able to talk about all the games that I appreciate and exactly why in a more condensed manner. And I decided to go all out and do 100. Right now, I've only got up to 64. You could be like, Pat, you're spoiling this whole order, but guess what? This stuff is a work in progress. A lot of this stuff is still changing. Sometimes I think, yeah, that's probably worth like top 100, and then I'll be like, you know what? I don't think that's going to be worth and I'll just remove it. The order is also constantly changing. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a video on my top 100 games whenever this is finished. And what I'm going to do is just give a small little review similar to how I've been giving small reviews to everything on this site on video, and just go off from 100 all the way to 1. It's going to be painful. There's going to be a lot of games. It's not going to be painful. It's going to be so much fun. But there's going to be a lot of games that I just constantly give small reviews for. And that's kind of the game plan here. But so there's so many things you could do with these lists. You could make top 10 3D platforming collectathons. That sounds like a heck of a lot of fun that I might do at some point. Tom Peeler did something similar. He did top 64 games that are most important to him, which is pretty similar to my top 100. But I guess his is a little bit more focused on the impact it had at the time, while I think mine focuses a little bit more on playing nowadays. But also I factor in that emotional factor of that first experience, because sometimes your first experience of the game can outlast thousands of hours of a whatever AAA game you happen to be playing right now, right? So all that said, check out my page, check out Tom's page, add us both as friends, and then we will see where that goes. Okay, we'll read each other's reviews. I think this site's great, and I just want to see more users on there. I'd love to have more friends on here to read more reviews, because this is such a cool thing. My direct circle does not care about this nearly as much as I do, so it's looking like I will be alone in this for a while until you guys come join. So join us on Backloggd. Again, not sponsored, although if for whatever reason they did something like that, feel free to hit me up. I like the site, but for now I think it actually has a Patreon where you can actually support it, and that can be found right down here after you agree to the cookies. I just never click agree to cookie buttons. I don't know why. I just don't do it. Very last thing I want to talk about. I do now have a Nexus page, and if you don't know what Nexus is, it's basically the new chrono.gg. If you don't know what chrono.gg is, it's basically a website that lists creators' games that they recommend and will showcase sales for them and prices or whatnot. I have a link to that in the description with some of the games that I recommend. So you can check there to see if there's a sale on any of those games. And if there is one, you could then go back to Backloggd and see my review on it. So I just went to nexus.gg/patnet, and this is my page. My top featured game right now is Rock of Ages 2, Bigger and Bolder, but also got like Morrowind, Super Hot, Escapist, bunch of great games in here. But what you could do is then go over to my reviews. Okay, here it is. Rock of Ages 2. You see, here's my review. Great spin of a tower defense game while also becoming the best boulder rolling simulator on the market. Multiplayer obstacle course is a blast, and the variety of boulders makes for endless hours of hilarity. Seriously, Rock of Ages 2 is an absolutely phenomenal game. I can guarantee it will be in my top 100 game list. So that's just some cool integration. I just wanted to throw that out there because I haven't publicly said that anywhere. Now it's been publicly said. So what should you do besides make a Backloggd account? Subscribe and wait for a video on my top 100 games. That's going to come out at some point. And you can also wait for more videos, because I will be making more videos on this channel. Similar style to this, baby. Well, probably not as many Let's Plays. We're talking tier lists, mini reviews or something maybe. I don't know. We'll see where this goes, right? But make sure you subscribe if you'd like to check out all that. And of course, thank you so much for watching and just listening to me gush about this website, this latest fascination of mine. And I will see you guys all in the next episode. So long.